Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, viewers, Assalamu alaikum. I am your host Faisal Raza Khan and you are watching Foresight. As you are well aware of that caretaker Prime Minister Anwarullah Kakar is on an official visit to China. So we will review the highlights of this very important visit. Along with, we are also going through the latest situation and updates of the Gaza crisis. So first of all, introduction to our guest. We are going to start from our first guest and Brigadier retired Hamid Rashid Malik. He is an international relation expert. So most welcome to you, sir. Hassan Khan, our second guest. He is the senior journalist and analyst. We welcome you, sir, on that particular topic. So we will also talk to our analysts at Skype as well. So first of all, from you, Brigadier Sahab, how do you see particularly the significance of the caretaker Prime Minister Anwarullah Kakar's China visit?
I would reckon it the most historical, more productive and more rewarding visit whensoever we will view CPEC as well as the BRI initiative by the China. As we know that with China we have a long outstanding history of friendship, cooperation, but it is now going to step up, upgraded to a more cohesive, integrated friendship, which will also going to go for the poverty alleviation as well as for the human development. As we see, we are stepping into the second phase of the CPEC, that is the economic zones where the technology transfer and the industrial upgradation and industrial development will take place.
And that second phase is directly related with the people of Pakistan, because you know that agriculture, mining, industry and all other sectors.
Naturally, it is people centric.
Definitely.
What we will see that the Chinese investor and Chinese businessman, they will be coming forward, and this actually visit has also given them the prospect. It has been basically providing them what are the opportunities available in Pakistan for them. And I think Prime Minister has been very well prepared. What we see, very well worded, very orchestrated expose by him when he met the Chinese president, as well as when he met with the different think tanks and with the different businessmen. And even today, he spoke very well of the different prospects of CPEC when he was addressing the Xinjiang University.
Means he was articulate, authentic and brief.
Not only it was not only the words, actually it was the different sectors which he promised to them. There they can come and contribute.
He elaborated the Pakistan's policy very well, and particularly when we are talking about revival of our economy and bringing foreign investments and particularly the Chinese investment to Pakistan.
Surely, because when you talk of the business, it has to be based on certain concrete proposals.
Definitely, definitely.
It is not only the mere statement and narratives, it has to be different sectors like agriculture, like IT, like industrial development, textile, he spoke of. And I think we should give credit to SIFC also, because they actually made that basis and nucleus thinking process and strategic framework, which Prime Minister has very candidly expressed to the Chinese Premier.
Definitely, and Special Investment Facilitation Council has, I think so, given an impetus to the real thinking that Pakistan has to revive its economy and Pakistan has to lead the region. So this is very important. Hassan Khan, you are a senior journalist and you are having very close eye upon all the developments and updates particularly in the region. So how do you see Prime Minister's visit in the framework of Belt and Road Initiative and particularly the recent forum held in Beijing?
Thank you very much, Faisal. I think as per the byproduct or concerns of the visit, Brigadier Sahab has properly articulated that what will be the return of the visit, we hope very soon, because the communications process, initially the CPEC, the first phase, you know, it was almost related to the communication network, whether it was the road network, whether it was the energy.
The pivot of that was infrastructure and energy.
Infrastructure. Now it is going toward what you rightly mentioned. It's going to be the people centric. It's a people's interest. I'm looking at the Prime Minister, Mr. Kakar visit to this forum, I think from a very another angle and perspective, and that is at the moment, you know, the world is going through a very, what you call, is a type of turmoil, where it's a political turmoil, security turmoil, it is realignment sort of things are going on. So a lot of leaders were there in China, and the Prime Minister were there, and I agree with the Brigadier Saab that the Prime Minister was very well articulated, you know, well worded, and he seems to be well prepared for the visit. So his interactions, look, he interacted with the Chinese Prime Minister. He has a call on the Chinese president, and definitely the rest of the people, like the business community, like the investors community. Then he has interacted with the Russian president. I think Vladimir Putin, the interaction with him is also very crucial. And you know what's going on. We have a very good trade and investment things going on with Russia also. So we also interacted with other world leaders, the Sri Lankan president, the Central Asian president, etc. So I think this visit, for me, it is very crucial, it's very important. It's not only we marketed our young prime ministers, and this is well articulated and speaks very well, and he was there very prepared. But he presented the case of Pakistan's too, whether it was our security problems, whether it was our economic problems, whether it was the friendship with the Chinese government, with the Chinese, with China. And you know, he has said it time and again that don't say China and Pakistan are just friends. I think he said that it's beyond the our relations with China is beyond that.
Along with that, the economic partnership
is too much attractions on the Chinese sides for the Prime Minister, and he was in Xinjiang today. Yesterday he was he was in the Xinjiang. He interacted with the students there, and he was very open. He was very candid, talking to the students, inviting them when they complete their studies.
By the way, first time ever any Prime Minister is there in Xinjiang in public, particularly. He is there in mosque today. He has offered Friday prayer in a mosque.
And really, Faisal, I was impressed by that interaction when the Prime Minister was interacting with the students, calling them that once you complete your study, please visit Pakistan. Please be an agent of link between China and Pakistan.
Because no doubt the youth of Pakistan and China, that is the future of both the countries.
And he mentioned that is the future.
When we are talking about iron brothers and friendship like iron, so I think so this iron brotherhood must have to be centered with the youth of Pakistan and China.
Because the youth is the future of Pakistan, whether it's the Chinese youth, whether it's the Pakistani youth, and I think
Hassan, I'm sorry for interruption. We have right now with us at Skype Brigadier Retired Waseem Ishaque. He is the foreign affairs expert. Most welcome to you, sir.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Brigadier Sahib, Pakistan and China both are earlier the strong strategic partners. Now this strategic partnership is converting into an economic partnership. So this Belt and Road Initiative all the way is very important one. But the Pakistani Prime Minister's visit entails a lot of successes during this whole course. So how do you see this visit particularly, and his interactions with the foreign heads of states, particularly with the Russian President Vladimir Putin, also with the Chinese President Xi Jinping?
Thank you very much. I think this visit has been very, very significant from Pakistan and China's perspective. And also from Pakistan's point of view, this has been a complete success. Our caretaker Prime Minister has been very impressive right from the start until as we reach to the almost culmination of the visit. He has been interacting with think tanks. This was also an unusual event, but he talked to them very candidly and very openly. Now his emphasis has been to judge as to how the Chinese academicians, Chinese researchers and Chinese think tank can be collaborated for a joint research projects and joint collaboration with Pakistani universities and with Pakistani think tanks. And that was a very, very productive and useful interaction. With respect to the CPAC, his speech on the Belt and Road Forum, I think that was very well articulated and very impressive. We are the flag bearers of the BRI project as such, and CPAC's success would in fact give the dividends in terms of quantifiable judgments as to how the BRI has been successful or has not been successful. As we recapitulate the 10 years of CPAC and 10 years of BRI, I think more than $25 billion have been invested in Pakistan, and around 30 projects which have been completed. And mostly the energy projects and the infrastructure projects. We are about to embark in the phase 2 of the project. And Prime Minister had assured the Chinese investors regarding their security of their investments, and all sorts of facilitation which Pakistan can do for the achievable targets of 2030 in which the CPEC is supposed to be completed. And I think in the entire BRI, CPEC would be the one such project which will be a unique sign of win-win cooperation and timely completion for both Pakistan and China. From Pakistan's perspective, who is energy starved and infrastructure starved country with a huge struggling economy, I think the completion of CPEC in time would generate more than 2 million jobs and would add about 4%, 3.5 to 4% annual in Pakistan's GDP. I think is a huge investment and win-win cooperation for Pakistan as well as for China. And Chinese president has always been, and this time as well, absolutely forthcoming for any support which Pakistan needs for the timely completion of CPEC. So other than CPEC, this time we have seen a unique event taking place, which is the people-to-people interaction and more informal opening up by the Pakistani Prime Minister to Chinese universities and the Chinese people and the Chinese students. I think this will go a long way in developing our Pakistan-China knowledge corridor, Pakistan-China people-to-people contact, and would further enhance the bonds of friendship, which are iron brothers and now ironclad friendship. This will be passed on to the next generation through these gestures and through all those successful events which have taken place. So in my analysis,
Waseem sir, when we are talking about particularly the Pakistan-China relations, two phrases which were used by the Prime Minister and one was used by the Xi Jinping, the Chinese president. Chinese president said that now we are focusing on high quality development, quote unquote high quality development. And then Prime Minister said that Pakistan values China as not only an iron brother but a partner in development, in integration and connectivity. And secondly, when it was emphasized from the both sides that Gwadar is going to be the hub of regional development. So what it means basically?
For example, the total investment which was supposed to be coming to Pakistan in terms of CPEC is between 62 billion to 65 billion US dollars. So out of which only 25 billion has been so far completed. So a huge amount is still left. And when we embark into phase 2, special emphasis would be on the special economic zones, the IT hubs, the oil pipelines, oil refineries, etc. So that way it would create a sort of economic activity which is unprecedented in Pakistan's history before. So therefore, the President Xi Jinping's desire for early completion and Pakistan's readiness to facilitate, I think these are very, very positive signs. And now the high-tech innovation means that special economic zones, when completed, would invite the foreign investors. And we have seen the Gulf countries like the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar have already shown their desire and willingness to invest into Pakistan. The Gwadar is supposed to be the fulcrum of this entire project in a way that it would actually enhance our capacity and capability in terms of maritime transportation and would also serve as an alternate to Karachi port. And from Gwadar, our desire to actually connect it with Afghanistan and the Central Asia would then be facilitated. So now the entire focus would be how to operationalize Gwadar as soon as possible. We have seen a lot of work is going on already. We all also seen the Gwadar airport is also coming up. There are several actually people-related, people-centric projects which are supposed to be undertaken inside Gwadar. So that would generate the local economy. It would also generate a lot of employment for the local peoples. And it will also add to the economy of Balochistan and in the overall economy of Pakistan. So I think in coming 5 to 7 years, we are actually witnessing, inshallah, a lot of good things happening in Pakistan. So the struggling economy of Pakistan would no more be there with this investment when completed in time, and all projects are.
Brigadier Retired Waseem Sahab, stay with us. We are having some chat with our Hassan. I'm coming to you. Prime Minister's visit was a special one in a sense because you are a journalist and lots of dignitaries visiting Pakistan as well. But when Prime Minister has visited China before his arrival into Beijing, there was a lot of coverage from the electronic and print media. It was overwhelming. Every channel, whether we talk about their TV channels or magazines or newspapers or wire services, they were full of the coverage. And Prime Minister was actually the focus. Pakistan was focused in China. How do you see that?
Look,
It's
I think
unprecedented.
it was a good decision for the caretaker Prime Minister to visit and especially attend this forum. The reason was, before leaving Pakistan, you know, there were certain voices which were advising the government that it is a caretaker setup, so there is no need of going there in for such a high level forum. So it needs an elected government, because an elected Prime Minister will present the case in a much better way. No doubt an elected Prime Minister, that is another issue, but at the moment I think losing this opportunity would have been a big loss for Pakistan.
Definitely it
and
is.
the way this for
Especially
5
at the
days,
diplomatic level.
Look, Pakistan was the center of focus, because you know, certain, and it was, I will, to be a bit selfish, I will say we were quite fortunate that certain powers from the region avoid to participate in that forum. So that gave us more opportunity to present our case most robustly, interact with the wider section of society, instead of just keeping ourselves restricted to the forum or to the delegates of the forum. I think the Prime Minister talked to each on the daily basis. Okay, for us in news media, it was too difficult for us to select which one to be the first news, because Prime Minister was on hourly basis. You were receiving messages or you were receiving news. The Prime Minister had a meeting with this delegation.
What it actually means when you have an unprecedented coverage in China, a Prime Minister, because you know that more than 30 heads of states or government were there.
I think, as I stated in my earlier statement, that now Pakistan's China relations are at a different trajectory now after this visit. And you know the body language of both the Pakistani delegation and the Chinese delegations. I think I was just looking at it, whether this forum is all about Pakistan and China, because you know the media, the social media, the interaction. So it was all about, seems to be all about Pakistan. Pakistan was, the Brigadier Waseem rightly mentioned, he used this word for Gwadar, that Gwadar is a fulcrum for the CPEC. I say Pakistan was the fulcrum for this forum.
When
so
we are talking about China, Pakistan,
extraordinary attention. And I'm happy and I'm glad to see that our delegation this time presented the case without going into the political things, without going into the world, the way the world, like there's a lot of things going on in the region and the new things in the Middle East, especially this Palestine-Israeli wars, this Ukrainian things, the division of the world between the North and the South. I think he has gone beyond that, and now onward I see that Pakistan has, and even the Chinese, agreed that their future is a shared future now ahead. No,
your point well taken.
It's going to be, I think they're going to, it will be a giant move, and it will be a collective, I think, at every forum now onward I see Pakistan and Chinese will be like a conjoint, what do you call it, a body. There will not be the Chinese delegation, the Pakistani delegation, it will be the Pak-China delegation, sort of things.
Brigadier Retired Hamid Sahab, but Pakistan and China signed dozens of MOUs, particularly to enhance production of chilies in Pakistan, along with the very important one, the backbone, that is the mainline one, that ML1 project. So how do you see these memorandum of understandings and agreements between Pakistan and China? How much impetus in these agreements and MOUs?
To me, what it figures out, that this is now a manifestation of the mindset both of Chinese and Pakistanis. Because it is not only narratives or only statements. Now, the second phase of CPEC, as we say, that people-centric, but at the same time they also want that now it should go for the poverty alleviation of the area, it should go for the human development of the area, and the socio-economic upgradation and development now is the main objective. And if we see from that perspective and prism, we see that these MOUs are of utmost importance, because now these are going to lay down the foundations for those projects which are going to deliver actually the exchequer to the government, exchequer to the public, And now the people are going to witness actually the hard facts of progress. Earlier it was the foundation, it was the infrastructure which was being built, because Chinese had pumped in about 25 billion US dollars to have infrastructure of 50 projects in Pakistan.
Definitely.
And now with that base available, and now the economic zones, now these will be the main focus of investment, and these MOUs actually, SAF has already laid down 4 sectors, which already included agriculture, IT.
And those were focused there in China.
Naturally.
Yes.
Because these is what you prospect, you show to the different businessmen and investors. And my colleague has very rightly and properly stated it, it is the realignment also. Now these MOUs are not only MOUs and certain industry and certain setups being built in Pakistan, the realignment that now Pakistan is going to see toward east. Pakistan's interaction with Russia is going to increase. Pakistan interaction with China is going to go to a horizon that now people will think that this is almost a same nation. Shared destiny and shared cooperation is going to boost to the region also. And I think this cooperation
definitely.
Professor, one thing to add
Yeah,
to this
why not?
ML1, when the delegation was there, and I was, it was 2 days before, I was having interaction with the railway experts in Pakistan. And I just told them that ML1 means this is just a track between from Peshawar to Karachi. He said it's not a track.
This is not just a track.
This is $6 billion+ project. And it will change the whole landscape of trade and business things in Pakistan.
Obviously,
it's not only the trains of the railway. It's anybody can have a train, and he can, just like you are driving your car on a road. So you will have your own train, and you will drive. You will carry that on this ML1.
But
so he said that it is unprecedented, and God willing, if it is completed, he said it will be totally give a different shape to the Pakistan's communication system, trade system, business system, and it will just revolutionize this transport industries in Pakistan.
Just to add,
yes, please.
ML1 you need to see with the Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan.
Yeah, definitely.
Transafghanistan.
You are talking about Transafghan railway.
And if you see with that
and if you just club it with Islamabad, Tehran, Istanbul, and then the TIR, that is the International Road Transport
so you
Agreement.
see the hub of activity, hub of trade, hub of commerce it is going to have
No
and
doubt.
generate.
This is basically what Pakistan is actually stressing upon regionally and globally, and this is the desire of China as well. Brigadier Waseem Sahab, you are very well aware that this important visit of the Prime Minister was also focused upon when there was a meeting between Pakistani Prime Minister and the Russian President Vladimir Putin. How do you categorize that interaction? Because you know that at leadership level, it's going to categorize a very imperative one.
Thank you very much. A very important question. Let me start by saying that Pakistan has made a right choice to be on the right side of the history as it is evolving. From my perspective, China, Russia are the emerging great powers. So China is our best friend and iron brother. We have developed over a period of time very good relationship with Russia. And in the past we have seen, we have agreed to buy some Russian oil. It has been coming to Pakistan. And as we are energy starved country in terms of oil and gas, and Russia on the other side is rich in both oil and gas, is rather supplying to half of the world. So in that context, our good relationship with Russia is going to complement our CPEC efforts. So in that context, if we have a good diplomatic space with Russia, and if we have a good economic relations with Russia, that would going to add to Pakistan's economy. So instead of having 4% GDP as a result of CPEC, which is adding to our economy every year when it is completed, and if we add our economic collaboration in terms of oil and gas and other economic activities with Russia, I'm sure this figure would certainly be doubled. So imagine after 2030, if Pakistan's economy grows by 8% just as a result of these two projects. And I'm not adding the investment which has been promised by the Gulf countries. So imagine 5 to 8% GDP growth rate. If we maintain it for coming 2 decades, I think Pakistan would be fast following the Chinese footsteps, which they did in Deng Xiaoping's era for 30 years. and the current landscape of Pakistan would certainly be changed. So we just have to pursue it wholeheartedly and sincerely. I think the time, we are on the right side of the history, and time is about to come when Pakistan would soon be getting the benefits of our friendship with China and our evolving friendship with Russia.
So how do you see, particularly when we are talking about CPAC and the Belt and Road Initiative, especially the impediments, hurdles, and lots of constraints like containment of China policy of the West. So how you categorize that, because you know that this is going to be the real-time hurdle in connectivity and integration of the region?
Very good question and very important, and this is very close to my heart. Geopolitics. So this is actually the broadest name which I give to all these things. We have to be mindful of the geopolitics which is surrounding Gwadar. We have to be mindful of the geopolitics which are surrounding CPAC. And China is also mindful of that. Both of our country, we know the impediments, and those can be avoided. The only way is the diplomatic engagement with all those actors who presumably can be prospective spoilers. I don't say spoilers, but they can create challenges for us. So therefore, through our diplomatic skills, which we have maintained so far in last 75 years, we can utilize those countries by constructive engagement. While on the other side, we have to remain forthright and we have to remain committed for the timely execution of CPAC. So the geopolitics, avoiding geopolitics is right in our hands, because our decision makers have to take those decisions. With a good input and with the renewed energy which is available now after this successful visit, I think those impediments can be avoided. There's no issue I don't think so there'll be any challenge.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Brigadier Retired Waseem Ishaque, for your time and participation in the program. Coming to you, Brigadier Sahab, how do you see this Iran-Saudi Arabia rapprochement in the light of this connectivity and integration in the region, particularly in the light of CPAC?
We have to understand that Chinese came with the three initiatives. First was Global Development Initiative, second was security, and third was the civilization.
Yes, yes.
And in that, what they wanted, that there should be respect in diversity of the civilization.
This is the beauty of the Chinese.
This is the beauty of their inclusivity. Yes. This is the beauty of their connectivity. Yes. And actually in the BRI also, what they actually wanted, that was inclusiveness.
Yes.
That was one should come over its own prejudices, its own issues, and they should go for the shared destiny and progress. And I think they have been able to make Saudi Arabia and Iran understand that the conflict is not going to pay to their people, is not going to pay to their economy, and only road for progress of economy is that they share hands. They mutually contribute to each other's progress, they respect each other's viewpoint, and I think by this they are going to ensure peace and stability in the region.
That's good. So, Hassan, what you think about that? Chinese thinking is that there should be peace, tranquility and stability in the region and beyond. So that was the essence behind Iran-Saudi Arabia rapprochement. So China knows that what sort of relations it has, particularly with Tehran, with Islamabad and with Riyadh as well. So do you think that that contributes into, because Gwadar is right in front of Saudi Arabia and right aligned with Iran. So how do you see that proposition?
I think, look, we have to look at the Chinese engagement with the world from a different perspective. So far, for more than a half, I think, century, we are being used with the superpowers engagement with the other countries in a totally different way. Like we have so many other superpowers, the way they engage with their neighbors and beyond countries. So that was a different things. Now it is a Chinese model. Chinese model is totally different one. It is non-interventionist, no interference in political or security affairs of any state. It's just economic things. So when the Prime Minister stated that, referring to the 8 points presented by President Xi about the BRI, so he said that it is, the Prime Minister said that
primarily the new initiative.
I see it is an initiative which will connect the entire world, not only the region, it will connect the entire world, and once the world is connected economically, so definitely the conflict will goes on reducing. So I think Chinese the intervention, not intervention, but role played in reducing tension in the Middle East is that they not only bring to the same table the Saudis and the Iranians, but Qatar's was even Syria was brought back to the Gulf things. So I think what China's want, China's is definitely now working on Afghanistan project also, because it is the CPEC and this BRIs to Europe and Central Asia, it's via Pakistan and via Afghanistan. So I think definitely this is going to be this Chinese initiative or BRI, and the way China is approaching, especially the South, whether it's the African countries, the African continents, China has a huge investment in the African countries, and whether it is the Asian countries. So I think it is going to, as earlier I said, and I avoid to use that word, realignment of the world. The world is reshaping itself, and now the West and the classical superpowers, they are on the receding end. I think they are on the backward movement. There is an acceptability for the Chinese model of especially the economic things. As earlier Brigadier Waseem pointed out, that in the first phase of CPEC, we have $25 billion investment in Pakistan. And look, those were the era when only Chinese investment was coming to Pakistan. Unfortunately, we were in a way engaged with the security things, with the political things.
Definitely China is always at the forefront.
Once China is accompanied by the investment from our Gulf friend, like the Saudis, like the UAEs, like the Qataris, etc., so it will have a snowballing effect for Pakistan. So it will not only be the Qatar, the Saudis, the UAEs and the Chinese, so others will also see that Pakistan is an investment destination. So I think we have to look into that.
Brigadier Retired Waseem Sahab, how particularly when we are talking about China-Pakistan relations and the regional and global scenario, Pakistan is always at the forefront to bring Afghanistan along with it. So that's why China and Pakistan agreed upon that CPEC extension to Afghanistan. But how do you see the Afghanistan's overall behavior and stability in Afghanistan, and rightly Pakistan's linkage to Central Asia and Central Asian linkage to Pakistan for the warm waters?
Thank you very much. Another very good and very important contemporary question. I think we have been concerned and we have been affected from the instability in Afghanistan. We have suffered since last 40 years. But as the Taliban government has come in last 2 years, we have seen the rise of terrorist acts inside Pakistan. So despite certain difficulties, we have been able to manage those border issues. We have been able to manage our bilateral issues. Now coming over to China, China is the only country so far which has officially designated and sent its ambassador to Afghanistan. China is engaged with Afghanistan at bilateral level as well as at multilateral level. China feels that now instability in Afghanistan has to be contained through diplomatic engagement as well as the economic investment. So China is ready to do both, and they have the master plan for this. China has been engaged with the Taliban leadership even before taking over their government in 2021. So they have made a comprehensive homework. Now they are trying to mainstream them. While they are standing by the rest of the international community with respect to recognition of Taliban government, they have developed a good working relationship with the Taliban government. On Pakistani side, we have always been sacrificing, and we will continue to do that because Afghanistan is our Muslim brother and is our neighbor. So stability in Afghanistan is in our favor. So we are using all our diplomatic as well as the military and all levels of engagement. We have incentivized even the current Afghan government by offering certain scholarships to the Afghan students, and they are coming to Pakistan through HEC. So in that perspective, there is a good engagement at the moment going on with the government of Afghanistan. And I'm sure the prospects of having even better engagement and more stability is about to come as the Afghan government becomes more inclusive.
Thank you very much, Brigadier Retired Waseem Sahab, for having your presence in Foresight. Thank you very much for that. And we are also thankful to Brigadier Retired Hamid Rashid and also senior journalist and analyst Hassan Khan. Thank you very much for joining us in program. Viewers, Pakistan-China relations is always imperative. and caretaker Prime Minister Anwarullah Kakar's visit to China, as suggested by our panelists, that Pakistan-China relations will go on new heights, particularly in terms of connectivity, integration, development, and particularly the revival of Pakistan's economy. So this was today's Foresight. This is the time to sign off. Allah Hafiz.